Hey everyone, welcome back to the podcast. It's Leo here. We all have that list, right? The list of must-see cities that everyone talks about, the ones that are, all over Instagram and in every travel movie. I've been incredibly lucky enough to visit a lot of them. But today, I want to talk about something a little different, something that travelers don't always like to admit. A few famous places that, for me, just didn't quite live up to the massive hype. And I want to be really clear. These aren't bad cities. I mean, not at all. They are famous for a reason, and they are beautiful. But my personal experience in them was just a little different from the dream I had imagined. Sometimes the gap between our expectations and the reality on the ground can be a really interesting thing to explore. So let's get into it. Okay, so the first city on my list is one that is probably on everyone's bucket list, Venice, Italy. My expectations were, of course, shaped by movies and books. I was hoping for romance and mystery. I imagined getting lost in quiet, romantic alleyways, hearing only the gentle sound of water lapping against the old buildings, and feeling like I had stepped back in time. But instead of feeling like I had stepped back in time, I mostly felt like I had stepped into a giant theme park. The problem wasn't the city itself. I mean, Venice is breathtakingly beautiful. The problem was the sheer number of people. It's a concept people now call over-tourism, and man, I really felt it there. From the moment I stepped off the train, I was in a constant, slow-moving crowd. Although the narrow streets are charming, it was difficult to enjoy them when you're walking shoulder to shoulder with thousands of other people. And everything felt very commercial. The prices for a simple coffee or a slice of pizza were incredibly inflated, clearly targeting tourists. I have this very specific memory that sums it up for me. I was trying to cross the famous Rialto Bridge. I had seen pictures of it my whole life. I was hoping for a moment to just, stand there and watch the gondoliers pass below, but instead I found myself in a human traffic jam. It was a solid wall of people, all stopping in the exact same spot to take the exact same selfie. The feeling wasn't romantic, it was just stressful. I was disappointed because I realized I couldn't find the quiet, authentic Venice I was looking for. The city's beauty was undeniable, but the experience of seeing it felt overwhelming and, honestly, a little bit sad.
All right, next, let's travel to a completely different part of the world, Dubai in the UAE. The hype around Dubai is all about the future, right? I'd seen all the pictures of the futuristic skyscrapers, the incredible luxury, and the mind-blowing attractions. I was expecting to be amazed by the sheer scale and ambition of everything. And in many ways, I was. I mean, the architecture is incredible, and the city is spotlessly clean. But, well, as a backpacker traveling on a budget, I've found it to be a very challenging place to connect with. It felt like every single experience was designed as a high-end commercial transaction. I was hoping to find some local culture, maybe some street life, or, small independent shops, but I found that most of life happens inside giant air-conditioned shopping malls or expensive attractions. My visit to the Burj Khalifa, the tallest building in the world, I think that's a good example. The view from the top was, of course, amazing. You can see the desert, the city, and the ocean all at once. But the experience itself felt very impersonal. You pay a very high price for the ticket, you wait in a long, organized line, you go up in a fast elevator,
And then you have a limited amount of time at the top with hundreds of other people before you're guided towards the gift shop. It was an impressive view, but it wasn't a memorable experience. I found myself missing the simple joy of discovering a cheap, delicious street food market in Thailand or a free museum in London. The problem wasn't a lack of things to see in Dubai. It was that I felt the city was more like a luxury shopping catalog than a place to explore and connect with on a human level. It was an interesting place to see, for sure, but not a place I felt a desire to stay and discover.
And finally, the third city is one that might be a little controversial because it's so universally loved. Paris, France. Paris, the city of love, art, and charming cafes. My expectations were, they were huge. I'm a big fan of walking around cities, and I thought it would be the perfect place for it. I expected to spend hours sitting in a sidewalk cafe, reading a book, maybe having a friendly conversation with a local, and just soaking in the artistic energy of the city. The reality was that the sheer scale of Paris was completely overwhelming for me. It's a massive, bustling metropolis, and I constantly felt like I was just another anonymous tourist in a giant machine. I found that connecting with people was more difficult than I had anticipated, and my attempts at speaking French were usually met with a quick reply in English, which was, helpful, but also made me feel like I wasn't having an authentic interaction. I remember one particularly disappointing day. I had a list. I was going to visit the Louvre, see the Eiffel Tower, and walk through Montmartre. I spent most of my day underground, in a hot and crowded metro, and when I was above ground, I was waiting in incredibly long lines. By the time I actually got inside the Louvre, it was hard to appreciate the art. I felt like I was just ticking items off a checklist rather than actually experiencing Paris. Does that make sense? Even though the city is filled with incredible beauty, I felt very disconnected from it. I couldn't find that intimate, personal, movie-like experience I was searching for. It was a beautiful city that I was looking at from a distance, but I never felt like I was truly a part of it. So there you have it. Venice, Dubai, and Paris. 3 world-famous cities that, for different reasons, didn't quite match my personal expectations. One felt like it was drowning in its own popularity. One felt like a beautiful but expensive display case, and one felt too big and impersonal for me to find my place in it. And again, I really want to say, this is just my story. Your experience in these cities could be completely different, and that's the whole point. Travel is incredibly personal. It's shaped by our budget, our personality, our mood, and even just pure luck. These experiences taught me a valuable lesson. Hype is just a story someone else tells. It's much more important to go with an open mind and create your own. And sometimes the most valuable travel experiences aren't the ones that go perfectly to plan, but the ones that surprise you and teach you something new about what you're really looking for. Thanks for listening. I'll get you on the next one.